a gal and her name was Sue. I had a gal and her name was Sue. Her face was fair and her eyes were blue. Bring some Saturday, I loved her and she loved me. I loved her and she loved me. Where one of us went, the other would be. Bring some Saturday,
Howdy, buckaroos, and welcome back to the Wild West Digest. And it's June on the Range, my very favorite reading event on BookTube. I am so excited to finally be here. It's been a long time coming. And I'm a co-host for this year. June on the Range was an event originally created by Michael K. Vaughan. And after I begged and pleaded and scraped and bowed, I was invited to be a deputy a few weeks ago, and so I'm very, very happy to be here. It should be a really, really fun month of Westerns, talking about Westerns, reading Westerns, sharing stuff about Westerns, and just having a generally great time around the Western genre. In this, what I hope to be fairly short introductory video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the very first book I've already read for June on the Range. And if you watched my TBR from a couple of weeks ago, you will know that I already teased this particular book. I'll show you what I'm reading now, what I've already moved on to, and we're going to talk about a couple recent acquisitions. I say a couple because it's not really a haul; it's multiple hauls, so it's a bunch of stuff, and a few other things, even including some upcoming plans for the rest of June on the Range. But first, let's talk a little bit about what I have already read. And it's, as I said, it's the 2nd of June as I record this, so I'm going fast. I teased that I was going to read this for week number 1 of June on the Range. It's The Haunted Hills by B.M. Bauer. This was written in 1934, or at least published in 1934. And as I had said in my TBR, I was going to read something from the 1930s for week 1, 1940s week 2, 1950s for week 3, and I had a couple hangers on for the sort of fourth and a half week of the rest of the month that are from the 1960s. But this is the first one I read from 1934. B.M. Bauer is a pen name. I mean, it was it's Bertha Muzzy Bauer. She was encouraged to change her name when she started writing for Popular Magazine back in the day. And she wrote several books. This is the first thing I've ever read by her. And I have to say, I enjoyed the heck out of this slim little volume. It's only about 160 pages. And it's promoted as being, potentially a supernatural tale, The Haunted Hills, the stuff on the back. I'm actually going to run a little video where you can read what the back of the book says. And you'll see that all of the clues are there that what you're about to read is a supernatural tale. But of course, there wasn't a lot of weird Western stuff being written back in the 30s. And so as you're reading it, you are immediately trying to sort out what the truth of the matter could possibly be. And by the midpoint of the book, and maybe even earlier, I had pretty much worked it out. I knew what was really going on in the so-called Haunted Hills, the Paiute Hills, I think they call them. But it was well done. And when the reveal did happen, it wasn't so much that I would be surprised or unsurprised, as the case may be, but it was well done. It was well presented. But here's the thing. I have read especially over the last year, I've read a lot of Westerns from the 30s and 40s that have been somewhat problematic. And I say that from a contemporary 21st century eye. A lot of these books have, racist stereotypes and comments and phrasing and slurs. And sometimes that can be a little tough to digest as you're reading it. But funnily enough, this book is pretty light on that, and which I found a little refreshing. The only one that's sort of the standout, and I thought this was quite amusing because it's written by a woman, is that she uses the term squaw. Now, squaw nowadays is a kind of a derogatory term. It is a derogatory term. In fact, it's a misogynistic term as well. But, back then it was a little bit more accepted. But that's really as bad as it gets when it comes to slang terms or slurs or stereotypes. And even that character is not featured heavily. It's an important character, but not really featured heavily. So you don't encounter that too much. But apart from that, there's really nothing else in this book that most people would consider problematic from our perspective. So overall, I found this book to be quite entertaining. A really fun way to start the month off. It's just generally a fun book. And I guess I would, if I was going to rank it, I'd probably say maybe an 8 out of 10. It's not wholly original. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's an enjoyable read. And I have to say, after experiencing this book for Bauer's work for my first time, I will definitely be reading some more. And I have noticed that in some of the collections I have, there are some other stories by her. So really looking forward to reading stuff by B.M. Bauer in the coming months, years, whatever. So The Haunted Hills gets a thumbs up for me for sure. And what a fun way to open up June on the Range. Now, at the moment, I am already reading, even though it's only week 1 and I was supposed to only read the 30s stuff, but I'm already jumping ahead. I am reading The Deputy Sheriff of Comanche County. This is Edgar Rice Burroughs' book with a great Frazetta cover. This is, I think I showed it in previous videos, and if you own this, you know this already, but it has huge, easy on the eye font. I don't quite know why. It's an Ace book, and nothing on it says with, enormous font for elderly man eyes, but it certainly makes it a quicker read. It's like a 300-page book, but it's, technically only going to be about 150 pages altogether because of the size of the font. So, so far so good. I'm not really that far into it, but that's book number 2 for me. That kind of leads me to another thing that's a fun little bit of trivia or a related facts about my own personal interests in Westerns. I'm coming to you from the American West. There's no denying that. I'm in Southern California. And a lot of the writers that are well known for writing all of the stuff that we're enjoying this month had connections to LA and connections to Hollywood. Many of them worked on films adapted from their stuff. Some of them wrote other stuff that was adapted from other works or even original works. Many of them wound up living here, at least temporarily in some cases, and some are interred here because they passed away while living out this way. So, for example, Louis L'Amour, he had multiple connections to Hollywood and lived here in a couple different homes as far as I recall, and is buried here. He's actually buried not far from where I live. Zane Grey. Zane Grey had an estate in Altadena. And tragically, that estate burned to the ground last year during the massive Eaton fire. And while the property obviously is still there, there are also streets and trails in the mountains in that area that bear Zane's name. So that's kind of a neat thing. Even B.M. Bauer, as I mentioned, who wrote The Haunted Hills, lived in LA for a while and died here. She died in 1940 and was cremated and her ashes scattered off the California coast. So loads and, I'll also toss in Edgar Rice Burroughs. We have a city or suburb here called Tarzana. Guess where that name came from? And his house is also here. So loads and loads of connections to Western writers and screenwriters and fiction writers. And probably one of the reasons that I am such a fan. So that is current reading and the stuff I've already gone through. Now, I mentioned that I had some new books to share, and this also is linking to some of my plans for the month of June when it comes to book buying. I am going, when I visit my local shops, my plan is to focus almost exclusively on the Westerns. I'm going to be looking for interesting looking stuff, books by authors that I have read and enjoyed and would like to revisit. I mean, the authors, not necessarily the books. Look for new editions, interesting editions of certain books. So when I do visit my local bookshops, which I plan on doing, of course, I'm going to definitely just focus primarily on Westerns. Obviously, I'll take a look at the other sections for stuff to fill gaps in my science fiction, fantasy, and horror stuff. But Westerns are going to be my main focus, and I'm going to try to actually shoot some video, or at least take some photos of some of those sections to share with you, because there are a lot of stores in the area that sell fantastic Western options, and I'm looking forward to sharing those with you. So that will be coming up. But since my last video, I actually have acquired a few new books, and I wanted to share them with you. And yes, they are Westerns. First and foremost, let me sort these out, because I kind of mixed some stuff up earlier. Was it this one? Oh boy, what have I done? Oh no, there it is. Okay, so it's turning away from the mic so you couldn't hear me. If you watch my channel, you know that I own, or at least up until a couple of weeks ago, own quite a few of these Best of the West books. These are the ones edited by Bill Pronzini and Martin Greenberg. Up until a couple weeks ago, I had 11 of these, and I'd been curious as to how many were actually published by Fawcett, and I come to find out there were 15 in total. And shortly after I found this out, I was poking around online, and I happened to find a seller who had 3 of the ones that were missing from my collection, which means, as of a couple weeks ago, I now am only missing 1 from the Best of the West series of 15 volumes. So very happy to have filled the gaps with a few more. So I was going to share the ones that I picked up recently, and I didn't get these these did not cost me a ton of money, and they're in phenomenal condition. And as you know, I like my books to be in great shape. So first of all, I have the Montanans, which is this one here. Flying bullets, spilled blood, and desperate killers couldn't stop the brave men and women who settled Big Sky Country. And this one, actually, the very first story listed on the back is from B.M. Bauer. And it's The Lamb of the Flying U. And The Flying U was a series of books that she wrote about a ranch, so a recurring series. Looking forward to reading those at some point. This also has stuff by T.V. Olson, and who else is in here? Norman Fox, Bill Pronzini, of course, squeezes one in there. Ed Gorman, and a few other writers. So the Montanans, that would be 12, book 12. Not in that order, of course. These are completely out of order. The Texans is the next one I got here. Let's see if I can get that to focus a little bit better for you. It's not going to do that. But classic Western short stories about the men who rode the range in the Lone Star State. This one has O. Henry, Zane Grey, as we were talking about earlier, Elmer Kelton, and a few other great writers. So that would be number 13. Number 14, and I'll tell you which one I'm missing after this. The Arizonans, Best of the West. And again, focus is going to be... It's going to be uncooperative today. This says rousing tales of the adventurers who tamed a territory and made it a state. And this one has Elmore Leonard, Lauren Esselman. Who else is in here? Owen Wister, the Virginian. Edward Hawke or Hawk. I'm going to say Hawk. And Bill Pronzini, of course. But yeah, I mean, it looks brand new. So I'm very happy with these 3 new editions to now bring my collection of Best of the West up to 14. But what am I missing? I am missing, shockingly, The Cowboys. That's the title of it. So if you happen to have an extra, no, I'm just kidding. Or if you ever spot one in your local bookshop and it's in good shape, please reach out and let me know, because I'm on a quest to get one. And I've found a few online in Abe Books, eBay, etc., but they are priced stupidly high. I've never paid anything close to that for the books that I have in this the 14 that I have so far. So keeping an eye out for The Cowboys, and hopefully it'll be one of those weird little grail items that just pops up when I happen to walk into a bookshop. Now, I did get some other stuff. Excuse me while I grab this stack. There is a bookseller online who I've bought Westerns from before. I've bought some science fiction from her as well, but I don't go there very often. Her selection's very minimal. It pops up every once in a while. She'll add a few more things to her inventory, and that's kind of what happened here. I happened to be searching for a certain book, and something popped up, and I went to her site, and then I realized, oh, she has a bunch of stuff that I'm potentially interested in, and it was all on sale for 50 cents each. So how could I say no to that? It was very good shipping rate, and so I just jumped at it. First thing in that lot is a Max Brand, and it's Trouble in Timberline. And now normally with the Max Brand stuff, the Zane Greys, all these older writers that I've been reading, I like to get the stuff that is at least within the 20th century, early 20th century. So if I can get stuff that was published in, say, the 30s, 40s, 50s, that's the kind of stuff I like to get. I just like the look of it, the feel of it. I love those little squat Dell and Popular Library and Bantams. Those are just fantastic. Mostly the stuff from the 50s. So if I can find Max Brands in that format, that's the kind of stuff I'm going to go for. But for 50 cents, I thought I'd grab Trouble in Timberline as a reading copy, and we will, of course, check that out at some point. Now, the remaining 10 books from this particular lot, I'm surprised first of all, I'm surprised that I jumped at it. And second of all, actually, maybe I'm not surprised. I mean, they were only 50 cents each. How could I say no to that, right? I bought 10 Jake Logan books. If you're not familiar with Jake Logan, it was an in-house pen name, wrote 430, I think, 430 Western books, Western novels in the 80s, 90s, even up into the 2000s, with the focus being a character named Slocum. And they are exactly what you'd expect from a series like that, from that era. They are violent, they are sexy, they're more spaghetti Western than historical. And I've heard some good things about them. And this particular seller had 10 listed on her page for 50 cents each. And I thought, you know what, let's just go ahead and order them. So I got 10 Jake Logan Slocum books, and I'll just show them to you very quickly, not in any particular order. I've got number 73, Slocum's Crime. And one thing I want you to take a gander at is, oh, we almost were there. There we go. Nope, never mind. The cover art, the depiction of Slocum on these books, it's almost like a what was his name? Steve Holland, was that the actor's name, who did a lot of book covers? It's not quite him, but they went for sort of this rugged, trail worn character, right, for Slocum. I'll show you what happens once we get a little later into the series. This is number 68, Texas Showdown. This one, the cover is a little sun faded, but the book itself is in really nice shape. All of them have that little, there it is, that little mark across the top. So in somebody's sale bin. Let me skip these for a second. This is 71, Slocum and the Gunrunners. And you can see him sneering up there with baring his teeth. This is number 80, Slocum Rides Alone. Collect the entire series if you can find them, if you want to collect 430 Slocum novels. Number 63, this one's a little battle weary, battle worn. It's got some creasing on the cover. It's a reading copy, Guns of South Past. But this one is definitely not the worst condition copy I have. That one is at the bottom of my stack here. 69, dude. This is Slocum and Deadwood. And boy, I really wish this camera worked a little bit better for you, but you get the idea. And then this one's beat to crapola, and it's Slocum and the Long Wagon Train. What is this number? 90. I think it's 93. Again, it's in really rough shape. It's definitely a reading copy, but I thought, well, for 50 cents. Now we jump ahead to the 2000s, and as you saw, Slocum is depicted as, he's grimacing and he looks mature and yeah. That all changed at some point later on, and I was kind of amused to see this. I'm glad that I at least got a few of these. These are all in the 300s. This is 316, Slocum's Sweet Revenge. And now he's like this handsome, photogenic character, and there's an embrace on the side there, like a romance novel. So things kind of changed as time went on. Hopefully the content doesn't really change too much. Slocum and the Water Witch, this is 322. And then last, Slocum and the Little Britches. Yeah, so that's what is this one? 355. So 10 Jake Logan Western novels. I own them now, so at some point I'll read those. Who knows? Maybe I'll even just dive into one of these over the next couple of weeks just for fun and funsies. See how it goes. What else did I want to talk about? So I did sort of tease what I was going to be doing coming up, and I mentioned that there was going to be a road trip video or two. We'll see how that goes. You can kind of put the pieces together based upon some earlier commentary in this very video to see where we're going to go. So watch for that. That should be fun. Get me outside of this room and out in the sunshine. So look forward to that. One other thing I did want to mention, I was working, I say working, a couple weeks ago, I went up to my favorite West Coast gaming convention. It's called KublaCon. It's tabletop gaming. And I know some of you out there watch my content for tabletop gaming stuff. And I do have, that's another thing. I have a tabletop gaming, Western tabletop gaming video coming, hopefully in the next couple of weeks that I've been working on. And I think you're going to enjoy that. But I was at this convention, and every year that I go to this convention, I work the game auction, and you'll see where this is going. Don't worry, it's related. And we accept lots from potential sellers. They bring stuff up to us, and 99% of the time, the stuff they're selling is game related, whether it's board games or role-playing games or miniatures or card games, whatever. That's the kind of stuff that we check in and put into the auction. Inexplicably, some seller came up and put in some vintage paperbacks. Now, shockingly, I wasn't the one doing the check-in. To be perfectly honest, had I been, I probably would have said no to that because we really don't sell that kind of stuff in the auction. But I would have certainly been intrigued. So there were 3 lots of paperback books that this person put in the auction, and they were like 10 or 12 books per lot. Now, at first glance, there was some decent stuff in there, but most of them were in pretty rough shape. And one of the stacks was like a dozen Westerns, and there was some good stuff in there. There was some Louis L'Amour, of course, but there was some other oddities in there. I think I even saw an Al Cody and maybe 1 or 2 Max Brands. So I was very intrigued. They came up to do the auction. The items came up, and the opening bid, the reserve on these items was $50 on a lot of 10 sort of beat up vintage paperback books. Now, this is ridiculous. I really don't understand what the seller was thinking. If you're going to have like 10 paperback books, you're going to put like maybe start at 50 cents per book or $1 per book at the highest for a game auction. But obviously, tragically, the lots did not sell and they went back to the original seller. So I don't know. Really kind of weird. I did get some other cool stuff while I was there. Shockingly, I found some other, I've said shockingly like 3 times so far this video. I did get some other vintage paperbacks at KublaCon. I got them in the flea market, and I'm happy to have those. I'll show them to you at some point if I haven't already. I don't think I have. And it was like a stack of ace doubles that I got for $1 each. That's kind of cool. All right, enough of that. So this marks the end of my very first video for June on the Range 2026. Welcome aboard, everybody. I really, really hope you are going to take some time to at least read one Western. You can pepper one in. Go ahead. It's easy to find them, and we trust that you will consider reading either a Louis L'Amour or a Zane Grey, or both. That would be fantastic. But yeah, hopefully you'll just enjoy June on the Range in some way, even if it's just watching the videos that we as creators are putting out there for you. And I hope you're finding them interesting. So until the next video, which hopefully will come very, very soon, I hope you will all have a great time in June on the Range this year. And I will see you out on the trail very, very soon.